Hello, this is Adam of Carpe Omnis Games. Welcome to Legends of Tabletop.
Hey everybody, this is John. We don't have Vince with us tonight, but this is episode 63 of the Legends of Tabletop podcast. We've got Adam with us tonight. How's it going, sir?
Going very well. You?
I'm doing okay. I just threw the cat, so doing all right, I guess.
It was a fantastic sight to behold.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of a dickhead, so I'm going to let him stick around for a little while.
Oh, he's a cat.
Well, that's true. The only thing that keeps them alive is the fact that they're so cute.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. He's my daughter's, and she loves him, so we're stuck with him.
Fair enough.
All right, so we'll jump in. We're going to be talking about No Honor Among Thieves, a Kickstarter that you got going currently right now. But before we do that, we have a segment at the front end here called Something Cool. So you have any cool things going on over the last month or so besides your Kickstarter?
Right. That has been taking up a lot of my time. Even when I'm doing stuff as intensive as running a Kickstarter, though, I'm always reading. We were talking about that before the show. I didn't mention what I've been reading. I've been burning my way through the sci-fi series The Expanse, which got made into a TV show recently, which is when I heard about it. And after I heard that it had been made into a TV show, Amazon Kindle store just kept recommending it to me every time I was on. So I picked up the first one, and now I need to wait until December for the next one.
Oh.
After going through them like a day or two at a time previously. Mm-hmm. Now it's the long wait for the next book in the series.
It's like catching up on a podcast. You discover, like, oh my God, I'm just going to listen to all the episodes. And then you catch up and you're like, shit.
And then you hit the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just...
Well, with the podcast. Oh, God.
Okay. I'm just going to like gush about The Expanse for a little while because it's really freaking good. It's like hard sci-fi, occasionally horror tinged, but mostly really hard sci-fi, but still like crazy adventures. It's like usually you see the pulp adventures stuff in softer sci-fi where people have warp drives and lightsabers and whatnot. And this book series is about people like going around the solar system. It's not like a massive galactic scale. It's the solar system in ships that can't go faster than light. It takes 6 months to like cross the solar system, and it's still crazy adventure for most of it. And then some like horrific Lovecraftian alien shit shows up.
Nice. I mean, that's something I should probably watch. It's on Sci-Fi, right?
I think so. I haven't actually seen the TV show. I've read the books. The books are really good. I can't speak to the TV show, though I've heard that's really good.
Okay. Never as good as a book, though.
Yeah, I have trouble like watching full TV shows. I always end up like setting them down somewhere and then never getting back to them. Books are easy.
Well, if you can read a book in a day, sure.
Yeah, I mean, okay, the way I read books, they're easy.
For me, it'd take me probably 2 months to knock one of those out anymore.
Okay, yeah, I guess fair enough. If you're not me, it might be a little less of a quality time investment.
Yeah, I DVR everything now, so I knock it out in about 40 minutes.
Oh, there you go.
It's the only way to do it. I'd never go back.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's like one show that I watch live anymore. I will watch Doctor Who live.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Sports, you got to watch football live. There's no point in watching it later.
That's true. I don't watch much football. I watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well.
That's mainly because of the food, though.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm excited. Hockey season's coming up soon.
Okay. I went to RIT. They're just crazy about hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually went to a game there.
Oh, no? You got to go for the experience.
Yeah, I kept being told that, and then Never got around to it.
I'm going to my brother, my father, my daughter, and I are all going up to opening game for the Arizona. What the hell they call them? The Phoenix Coyotes. We're going to see the Flyers. So they happen to be playing on their opening night. So I was like, all right, well, that's cool.
Wait, there's one team called the Phoenix Coyotes?
Yep.
Is that an
Hockey in the
actual
desert.
animal, or did they just combine to...
Well, Phoenix, the city, Coyotes.
Okay. I thought the team name was Phoenix Coyotes. Like they just combined the legendary bird and coyotes. And I was like, is that an actual type of coyote that I don't know about?
That would be super cool, but no.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Like, I want to see a Phoenix Coyote. That'd be sweet.
They might get more fans if they did that.
Yeah. Just have a, like, coyote bursting out of a, like, wall of flame or something.
Mm-hmm. Like wings, like tearing off the back.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great.
That would be awesome. Somebody needs to illustrate that and send us to us.
Absolutely. 100% on that.
Yep. All right. Probably nobody listening cares about sports. So let's subtly transition over to Kickstarter.
Right. Sort of a sport,
so when,
but not quite.
Yeah. When did you first start designing games?
I don't actually remember when. I remember like specific events, but I don't remember when they were. It was when we were like as a kid, when I was like 12 or so, just being really, really bored during the summer. And I wish I could say it was my idea, but it was actually my friend Matt's idea that we just grab some poster board and draw a board and make a game. And that was probably the first time. Yeah, we did that. It just became one of the things we could pick from when we were super bored because we'd been kicked out of the house. It's like, okay, we can run around with sticks and pretend to shoot each other. We can play kick the can or whatever. We can make a board game. Nice. I ended up going to college for game design and development, though that was more focused on video games. Turns out it's very difficult to get a job in the video game industry. And I ended up with a lot of ideas for board games and tabletop games. So I figured I would work on those.
Okay. Yeah, video game, they tend to get you in and chew you up too.
Yeah.
Real long hours, and that's a rough go.
I heard more about that sort of thing after I graduated.
Yeah.
Which was maybe a little unfortunate, but I have the degree. It can be applied to a lot of things, so I don't mind it.
Okay. Now, is that something that you're using today in your regular gig, or is that like, I went and that didn't work out, so I'm just doing something else?
It had a lot of programming involved. It's a Bachelor of Science in Game Development. So I'm actually a web developer at my day job at the moment at a marketing agency in Burlington.
That's cool.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well. To get my degree, you had to spend 2 semesters on co-op, which is a paid internship, basically. So one of them was spent at the school's web department, just maintaining and building and running all of their websites, which I'm pretty sure was what made my resume so like attractive to web development companies afterwards.
Right.
That wasn't what I was going for. It's just where I ended up.
Right. Well, that happens to a lot of people. They're like, I want to do this crazy thing. And then they're like, I'm working, in Bob's Crab Shack or whatever. And
yeah, I mean, I am working and also doing this crazy thing. So that's worked out for me.
There you go. This is your first official game release here. What finally kind of prompted you to like just go for it and say, I'm gonna do it?
I wasn't working on anything else. Was the big thing. Because like all through high school, all through school, no matter what school it was, the focus was school. I'm always working on something. And then I got out and I had a couple small projects going on the side. Like I have a webcomic that I was running at the time and still am. just less regularly. I had a blog that I wrote on occasionally, but like I had nothing big that I was focusing on, and I wanted to do something big that I could actually like turn my hobby of creating stuff into something bigger. Because like if I could make my full-time job just working on all of the things that I want to make, all of the novels and video games and board games and tabletop systems and songs and whatever, like that's everybody's dream.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I figured I'd never get there if I didn't start working on something that I could actually put out there. And I combined. There was one career fair that I went to at college where a guy recruiting for Amazon, I think the Amazon Games department, I told him I was in the game design program, and he said, "Oh, you're a designer? Have you put anything on Kickstarter yet?" Like that was 3 years ago now, I think, but now, yes, I have. So I decided that would be the answer to that question. Yeah, basically. He wasn't saying like, "Oh, if you haven't done that, what are you doing applying for us?" It was like, "Oh, you should do that." It was a suggestion, and I was like, "Okay,
yeah, get out there and test the waters."
Yeah, I know I can make things. I've done it before. I've just never taken them any further than playing them in my garage."
Right. Okay, that's cool. Is it hard to be noticed as a first-time developer on Kickstarter, on social media, on all these different platforms?
Not as hard as I was expecting. I'm sure it's hard, but like I've done a lot of things where I've put a lot of work into them and no one has noticed. I've just put them up like on my blog or on a website somewhere in a forum thread for my own enjoyment. I've run a couple of play-by-post like faction games that weren't really run for anything but my own enjoyment, and I did a ton of work on those that like some of which saw the light of day, a lot of which is never going to. So like after having worked on so many things that didn't attract attention, posting something up and seeing it retweeted by like 3 people is amazing. So I may have a weird perspective here in that I think it's crazy easy to get attention because I'm not used to having it.
Sure. Well, and it's such a big part of running a Kickstarter is, making sure that you have a, at least a decent social media presence. You got to be on Facebook and Twitter and, do interviews on crazy podcasts and, all that kind of stuff. So
absolutely.
I mean, is it like a second job for you right now? Like, I mean, is this just all your free time?
Yeah, I've not been doing anything else. It's been wake up, go to work, get home from work, straight onto the computer to go back to work.
Right. Yeah, I have that to a much lesser extent with the podcast. I put in a couple hours every day doing, research for interviews and all that kind of stuff. So it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah. It's just little things every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta stay on front of everything.
Yeah. And you got to keep people updated, and you have to not forget anything. And there's so much going on. I keep forgetting things, and then putting them up later or reaching out to people later.
Right.
I actually forgot to tell reviewers, the reviewers that I'd been in touch with, the final launch date for the Kickstarter until about a week before it launched. I had mentioned a couple dates and forgot that I hadn't told them which one.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple days before, shortly before it, one of them emailed me and was like, "So are you launching tomorrow?" Or I'm like, "Oh, right." I never confirmed that either way, did I?
That's one of the first things I like. We get stuff for review occasionally, and I'll be like, all right, when is your Kickstarter going to start? Like, do you have a specific date? Do you have a time
Yeah,
frame? Let me know what I'm working with, because it just takes me forever to try to get stuff done. So I don't want to
yeah.
cut anybody too short.
You need to get it on the table enough that you know what's going on, and then review it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sent out most of the prototypes for review months and months ago. Far longer ago than I probably needed to, because I delayed the campaign by, I think, 2 months. Yeah,
Okay.
from it was going to launch in late June, and instead launched in late August.
Okay. Just trying to wrap up all the final details, get the last cost analysis, that kind of stuff, or
Well, it was initially because the reviewers that I contacted weren't going to have the reviews done on time.
oh,
And then afterwards, after I said, okay, I'll delay it because of that, it became obvious that I would have never made that date anyway. And so I delayed until I was 3 weeks after Gen Con was what I wanted. Because when I mentioned that I was finding it easy to get attention on social media and websites and whatnot, Gen Con is the exception.
yeah.
There's only like 3 week chunk of the year there that just gets lifted away from you if you're a first time developer or like first time publisher for a board game.
Well, I think even established developers, unless you're Sandy Peterson and you're putting out another Cthulhu Wars or something,
Yeah.
you
Like,
hit that convention season in the summer, and it's tough to get something on Kickstarter.
yeah, like Fantasy Flight is announcing things. I like
Yeah.
You can't get in on that.
Right. Well, speaking of conventions, have you done a lot of conventions sort of in support and in playtesting and stuff like that to get you to this point?
I did a bunch in playtesting. Mostly local, although I was at the Unpub area at PAX
Okay.
East this past April, which was really great, and I forgot to hand out business cards or get signups for my newsletter. So afterwards, I remembered some of the people that I met there and contacted them personally on Facebook, or like had them contact me and say, "Hey, I was one of the guys who played it at PAX East. Great, yeah, great to see that it's finally online. You said it was going to be in June." Uh,
Yeah.
I've also been to Vermont Comic Con last year and a local convention called Carnage, which is at the Killington Grand Hotel, which I'm going to again this year.
Cool.
One of the people who organized it just backed the game today, and we were talking about that earlier today, actually. And this past weekend, I was at the Boston Festival of Indie Games in the Tabletop Showcase, which was amazing.
Nice. And you were one of a handful or so that were
Yeah,
picked to participate,
I
right?
think it was 48 games in the Tabletop Showcase, and then a similar number in the Digital Showcase. So
Very cool. That's
that
nice.
was just crazy. After having been at local conventions, like even at PAX East, there was downtime when I wasn't demoing the game, and when there wasn't anyone stopping by.
Right.
At Boston Fig, there wasn't any downtime except right in the morning and right at the end. And
Sure.
even at the end, there were still people coming up and talking to us. It's like, I've been tossing this around in the video footage. You might have noticed it. This is a Honor Among Thieves, No Honor Among Thieves token. I had made 150 of these, handed someone at PAX, some to friends, and then brought probably 120, 125 to Boston Fig. And we ran out,
Cool.
like, well before the show closed.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good way to get something in somebody's hand that's a little bit more memorable in the business
Yeah, it's a little different. They printed super dark, so you can barely read the URL that I put on them. Kind of have to squint and look closely, but yeah, people liked them as it turns out. Actually, I was showing these off on the Kickstarter page, and people who weren't going to run into me at a convention kept asking me if they could buy them. So I said, okay, I'll put up whatever I have left after Boston Fig for sale on the Kickstarter page, and then there weren't any. So I've ordered some more and put them up for sale anyway, and like 40. I'm going to be mailing out like 40 of these already.
That's cool.
Even,
have you thought about adding that as like an add-on for the Kickstarter?
Yeah, that's what I did. I had a new pledge level that's just for them, which no one has picked. And then I said, if you add on $4 or like $4 plus $3 for every additional one, I'll just mail them to you after the Kickstarter. Don't worry about international shipping. It's only like 60 cents more or whatever.
Right.
Someone bought 10.
Cool.
I'm not 100% sure what you're going to do with 10 of these. Stack them up, I guess.
Yeah, who knows? Well, in talking about demoing the game, because the game plays in hour and a half to 2 hour range. Right. How convenient is it to demo a game of that length? You have people kind of stopping by, and maybe you're in mid game or whatever. So How does that work out?
I managed to shorten it to a demo game that was half an hour to 45 minutes.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. So I just had... In the game, there are 3 types of heists. There's stage 1 through 3. Stage 3, if any of the stage 3s get taken, the game ends. Mm-hmm. And you just go through stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So I had one stage 1 and one stage 2, and then as soon as one of those got taken in the game, I just moved straight to stage 3. And then I dealt out characters to make like crews of thieves that seemed like they could be reasonable, and then dealt out hidden agendas randomly. I did all the stuff that you'd be drafting initially, randomly, and that worked out. Except that
it's almost like
I never had enough time to set up the next game after the previous one ended.
Right.
That was the only problem.
Right. It's almost like running pre-gens for an RPG game at a convention. Like,
yeah,
exactly. You get these, you guys get these.
You get this character, you get this motivation, whatever. I could not have done it if my brother wasn't helping me.
There you go. Let's go. Shout out to your brother.
Yeah, shout out to Nathan. He also did the music in the Kickstarter video, which I'm giving away with every pledge level.
Oh,
so
cool.
His name is Nathan. His music name is Underwhelming Force. Look him up. He makes electronica music mostly. There's my plug for my brother's stuff.
You
can thank me later.
Email it to me later. Yeah, we'll throw it in the show notes.
Sure.
Give him his due. Yep, absolutely. What was the inspiration for the game?
At the time that I came up with it, I was in my final days before graduating. So all my finals were done. Everything was done. I was just kind of hanging out and playing a lot of Legendary and Cosmic Encounter and reading a lot of books. So I was reading at the time a book called The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is basically Fantasy Ocean's 11. It's about a group of con men in a fantasy city that hasn't seen con men on this scale before. And the rest of the series is also really good, but it was The Lies of Locke Lamora that really inspired No Honor Among Thieves. And that combined with the games that I was playing at the time, I actually very distinctly remember having the initial idea for No Honor Among Thieves in the shower. Just the core mechanic came out of one shower and has not changed a huge amount since then.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. How many iterations of the game have you been through?
Six major ones, and then I usually changed to another whole number after 8 or so point somethings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm calling the current rules 6.4.
Okay.
Every time I did a major overhaul, I'd go to 1 to 2, 2 to 3, whatever.
Right.
It started off getting more complicated, and then at some point started getting less complicated.
Okay.
As I stripped out rules to try and get back to the core thing.
And that's been consistent pretty much throughout.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, there were kind of three phases. There was adding complexity, stripping out complexity, and then balancing.
Okay. Do you find yourself when you're playing other games, sort of jotting mental notes and be like, oh, that would be a cool thing to use in this game, or I'm going to file that away for like a whole other game that I want to do?
A little bit. I don't actually do that as much as I thought I would. I mainly I mainly just play, and then later on I will think, that would work really well over here with this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my ideas come from like thinking about things after the fact.
Okay. And why don't you tell us a little bit? I mean, we're kind of dancing around the whole thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the game? How does it work? What are the different stages?
Right. No Honor Among Thieves. I gave the spiel a lot at Boston Festival Video Games, so I have this practiced.
All right.
No Honor Among Thieves is a game where every player is running their own crew of thieves in a fantasy city, trying to end the game with the most money. To do that, you use your crew of character cards to get past defense cards, which are guarding objective mats, which have treasure on them. You want the treasure. If you can get past every defense on an objective in one heist action, you get the treasure. To do that, your characters have skills. So like the sneak thief has 2 stealth, represented by blue icons on it. There's 2 icons on that, so you can read it from upside down, from the side, whatever. You can see from anywhere on the table that this card has 2 stealth. You don't even need to know the names of the skills. I've had people just say 2 blue, whatever. It doesn't matter. Each defense card has multiple ways of getting past it. So like one of them might be 4 stealth, one of them might be 2 lies, one of them might be 1 tinker, if it's like a really bad locks is the cheap locks defense you can get past with 1 tinker.
Right.
So you send characters that match or exceed a skill challenge and you get past that defense. If you don't have the right characters for the job, the right set of skills, you can work together with other players who send their own characters in. Working together with other players opens you up to the possibility of betrayal. When a betrayal happens, one of the players gets more money than they negotiated for, first of all. That's the immediate effect. And secondly, the thieves' code of honor is broken. At the start of the game, all the thieves are operating under a code of honor. There's a bunch of abilities on different cards marked in red that can't be used while the thieves' code of honor is intact. So the assassin can't assassinate other thieves while the thieves' code of honor is intact. The pickpocket can't steal from other players. Once the thieves' code of honor is broken, all of that can be used by any player for the rest of the game. You can't get the code of honor back. Once trust is broken, it's gone forever. The assassin starts killing people. The magus starts stealing scheme cards from people. The gravedigger starts getting whoever controls it a coin every time another character goes to the graveyard. The fall guy. Before honor is broken, he's just a guy with 1 point of the lies skill. After honor is broken, any bad thing that happens to your other characters, you can have happen to fall guy. So nice. I named all of the characters after archetypes. There's been some discussion in the comments page on on the Kickstarter campaign as to whether or not people want named characters or whether or not they like the archetypes. After going over it with some of my friends and just thinking about it for a while, I still really like the archetypes. Because like a heist, if you think about a heist movie, if you think about Ocean's 11, you don't remember the characters' names.
Right.
You remember what they do. If you think of like, there's the technical guy, there's the acrobat, there's the talker, there's the guy who just knows people.
Mm-hmm.
They're all archetypes with different like names hung on them like placards on a door.
Right.
So I like the archetypes. I think I've decided just now that I'm going to keep those.
Yeah, I like that as a conceit. I think that's, it goes to what you're saying. I think that fits the theme very well.
Yeah. And I have a couple stretch goals called Legendary Thieves that I think I am going to give names to, just as the compromise there. So like there'll be 4 cards if we get all those stretch goals with names. I was planning on calling them things like the Highwayman and just be like some variation on Robin Hood, maybe the Hood. I don't know.
Right.
Like I've come up with actual names for them once people were like they wanted named characters, but everyone else is still the Veteran, the Magus, the Rogue Artificer, the Pickpocket. I have 33 character cards. 4 of them have duplicates. So that's 29 unique characters in the game, in the base set, without any of the stretch goals or anything.
And there's a shitload of cards. I mean, there's so many fiddly bits in this game. There's 200 cards alone, plus the dice and the mats and the...
Yep.
I mean, there's just a ton of stuff in here.
Yeah, there's a reason it's taken me 2 years to balance this thing. There's also, on top of that, of those 200 cards, 126 of them are unique, like different cards. So that's how many, 1, that's how many cards I need art for. 2, that was really fun to balance because certain situations are only going to come up like once in a million plays. When these 2 cards, of which there's only 1 of each in the deck, come up at the same time.
Right.
So balancing all that was really fun. Or, well, fun is maybe the wrong word, but...
Yeah. That's great for replayability, though, too, because every game is going to be completely different than the last game.
Absolutely. That was the idea.
Yeah. That's cool. How long have you been working on the game? Oh, you said 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I've been working on it since May of 2014.
Okay.
Which was like right before I graduated from college.
All right. And have you been pretty much going it alone? Does your brother help you at all with, kind of like kicking ideas back and forth for game design, or is it pretty much just
I kick ideas back and forth with anyone who'll talk to me.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's been my brothers. Both of my brothers have been a great help. Nathan, who composed the music, and Colin, who discovered some of the more game-breaking strategies that I then nerfed. And all of my old college gaming buddies. I actually drove 7 hours back to Rochester a couple times to play this with them because most of my friends there were in 5-year engineering programs, and I was in the 4-year program, so they were all still there. So I could just drive back, spend a weekend, go see a comedy show, play the game once or twice, and then come back to Vermont, have a 3-day weekend or something.
That's cool.
So they've been great help. And also, partway through, immediately after that summer, actually, in 2014, I found a local game design group that meets once a week and just play tests different people's games, talks about progress, talks over design stuff. So they've been a great help. They used to just be called like Green Mountain Gamers Design Group, but eventually we decided to have an official name, so we are now Let's Make Games Vermont.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we meet every week in the back of Braps Magic in Burlington and talk about games and play test each other's stuff. There's a lot of different people making a lot of different games in there.
Any of those people coming to Kickstarter?
I think that's the plan for a couple of them. Yeah, not yet. One of them has already, actually a couple of them have already published games. Small things mostly. One of them who moved to Connecticut, he isn't actually in the, like, Let's Make Games Vermont, technically speaking, anymore, although we still, like, talk all the time. He's in the Slack channel.
Right.
He moved to Connecticut, and his game got picked up by a publisher.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't think I'm actually allowed to, by his non-disclosure agreement, to talk about it. But I'm looking forward to that because I played the prototypes and they were fun. It was
Cool. Very
like
cool.
I think I can say this. It was like a city building game, and he'd 3D printed sections of skyscrapers that stuck onto each other for the game. It was really neat.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Um, in all the games that you've played, all the play testing and everything else, have there been any games where honor wasn't broken?
Yes,
Really?
there have actually. That happened a lot at the game design. Let's Make Games Vermont, because the people there are, for the most part, a lot nicer than the other people that I play tested it with. It's happened with them because they wanted to play test all the other rules thoroughly, and because they didn't, like, after a while, after everyone became more comfortable with each other after hanging out once a week for like 2 years and change, it started happening more.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, it just didn't happen. And there was one game, one playtest with some of my friends that I remember distinctly, because someone was intentionally keeping honor intact so they could get more points.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things in the game is every player has 2 hidden agenda cards, which no one else knows about, and which kind of define your strategy. You can get extra points from them at the end of the game. They're like the objectives, the hidden objectives in Lords of Waterdeep, or the routes in Ticket to Ride, that sort of concept. And one of them is called the Code. If the Thieves' Code of Honor is not broken at the end of the game, you get 10 extra coins, which is a lot from those.
Yeah.
So this guy was just talking everybody down from betraying, getting everyone to work together, playing all the right cards and making all the right moves. It helped that it was a 3-player game. Like, he got honor all the way through and then flipped that and was like, guess what, guys?
He pulled a Cartman.
Yeah, it was great. The hidden agendas, actually, there's a funny story behind those. I added them in. I had a lot of fun coming up with them after I knew that I had to add them in, but they got added in because I did a playtest with my buddies at college. And then, like, 2/3 of the way through what would have been a complete game, my friend Peter sits back and is like, hey, Adam, the game can't end if the players act logically and competitively, which the playtesters in Let's Make Games Vermont hadn't been, because they were just trying to playtest each mechanic individually. They weren't like playing a full game. But if the players act logically, there's no possible way to do any of the big final heists with only one person. Mm-hmm. And I know what everyone else has for money, and I'm not going to help someone else win.
Yeah.
So there's no way for the game to end. So that's where those came from.
Okay. How at what point, like, how long were you playing before you're like, oh, we need to fix the ending?
It was that was still the first year, so that was probably like 6 or 7 months in. It wasn't like that long into development, fortunately. If that happened later on, that would have been bad.
Everything you thought you knew about.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm still finding little things that need to be rebalanced, or like just notes that I need to make in the rules of weird situations that come up. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, nothing like that has come up in a while.
Right. Well, leave it to the players. I mean, in an RPG, no game survives contact with the players, and
RPGs especially, since the idea is you can do anything.
Yeah, and for me, like, when I'm reading rules for board games, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't specifically say we can or can't. So what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So that could be kind of tough. But that's the nice thing about having the game on Kickstarter, is that the developers like yourself are just super available to like answer questions and discuss design and all that kind of stuff. So that's, as a consumer, is very cool.
Yeah, if you have questions, you can ask me. One guy recently on the Kickstarter page asked me about the quality of the components, and from his reaction, I don't think he was expecting the 5-paragraph description of everything that I responded with. But right. I'm right there in the comment section, or just like a message away.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up Boston Festival of Indie Games again because there was one thing there that happened that I think spoke volumes about the rules and made me feel like I'm finally done. Because we were, me and Nathan running the booth were just really busy the entire time, and so there was a point where I was on one side of the booth talking to a group of people, and he was on the other side of the booth talking to a group of people, and 3 people were playing a demo in the middle with absolutely no oversight from any of us. So like they didn't need to ask questions or ask for clarification. It all just worked. And like that was the best feeling once I realized it was happening, because it took me like 10 minutes to realize I hadn't answered a question for the demo game. Right. And I'd been talking to people off to the side.
Well, I was going to say, I like that in the rules. So, like, you know, you give the setup and there's some pictures and, like, you know, this is what you're doing. And it's like, okay, let's summarize the setup. So, you know, you get a couple of pages in, it's like, oh, okay, cool, great, I got it. Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So the summary I thought was a nice touch. Because, like I said, for me, when I'm learning stuff, I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm, like, scribbling notes on a piece of paper and I'm, like, trying to write cards out and count.
Yeah, it's like if you've misread something, then your game won't look like this. If your game doesn't look like this, go back and figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I need to get a graphic designer to go over those rules, because I just threw that diagram together in Photoshop and put it in the rule book.
No, I mean, it works. I mean, it's easy to follow. I mean, it's simple, but I mean, it shows you what you need. So
that's true. It's good for the prototype rules.
Yeah. Cool. Talking about the art and, you know, layout and graphic design and all, the art is, you know, the stuff that's up on Kickstarter, you know, meshes really well with the theme and everything. Like, you know, it's kind of dark and sort of, you know, you get that fantasy edge. Who is the artist that put that together for you?
I actually hired about half a dozen artists for that. Like I said, there's 126 unique cards in the game that are going to each need art, and 13 objective mats, and 1 jail and graveyard mat. So I got some quotes from artists and ran the numbers and figured out that if I hired one artist to do all of it, just based on the average times people told me it would take, getting all of that done would be about 1.5 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I didn't really want to be delivering the game 1.5 years after the Kickstarter. And 2, I didn't think I'd be able to find an artist who was willing to tie themselves, like a freelance artist who'd want to tie themselves to one project for 1.5 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was wrong about that. That steady work might be attractive to some people. I don't know. Yeah. But I decided it'd probably be better to try to play my hand at being art director and try to find a bunch of different people whose styles fit together. So that's what I did. I initially tried reaching out to artists individually, finding people on DeviantArt or by their portfolios and reaching out. And no one responded. So I realized eventually that I was doing that all wrong. This is like, if you're running a Kickstarter yourself, this is my best piece of art advice. Like, post on the freelancer sites. Because there are people out there who are better and cheaper than you could possibly imagine, really looking for work. And they will do wonders for you.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's what I did. Yeah, there was like half a dozen artists that I narrowed it down to out of the 30 who responded to my job postings. And I've actually just in the past couple of days sent messages to a couple of them who I wasn't sure if they were aware of the campaign ongoing or not, to say, hey, it's looking at this point like we're probably going to be funded. Would you be free next month? Mm-hmm. There's a couple artists who I know are already aware of the campaign, and I assume expecting me to contact them, and I haven't sent them messages yet. But so I've started setting that network back up again.
Cool.
And also, people keep contacting me. Sorry, I keep interrupting you just as you're
No,
about to say
it's okay.
something. I have this bad habit of just thinking of something to add on and starting up again when the conversation would naturally resume with the other person talking. Let me just keep saying so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was about to say. Oh yeah, artists keep submitting stuff to my contact form on my website. So that's happened a couple times, and I've gotten a couple new guys from that too.
And that's not a bad thing too. If you have, other stuff in the works, then you've got potentially people lined up for down the road. So
absolutely, it's great. Like having people take pictures out of my head and put them onto my screen or on a card in front of me is just amazing.
Yeah.
I love these guys.
Cool. Did you so obviously you did a bunch of research into, trying to find, different artists and get people, styles meshed together and all that sort of stuff. How much, now I'm going to do it. How much research did you do into Kickstarter? And was it what you expected? Is it more than you expected? How did that all sort of, kind of flesh itself out as you, sort of dug into the process and got Kickstarter underway?
I've actually been doing research into Kickstarter for longer than I've been working on No Honor Among Thieves.
Okay.
Just because of all through middle school, high school, college, after college, all of the times that I've been thinking, I've been making stuff. I've been writing stories or coming up with games on summer nights when we're bored, or running forum games, or running tabletop RPGs, or making comics, or drawing stuff, or a million different things in as many mediums and genres as I could get my hands on. And then Kickstarter comes along. It's you can make things and put them in front of people and make them bigger and do it properly. Like you're a real artist or a real publisher or a real author or whatever.
Right.
And that was amazing to me. So I backed a few things on Kickstarter early on, back when it was starting up. And then after a while, after that Amazon guy said that to me at the career fair, basically, I started looking into it more and saying, okay, how would I do this if I were going to do something? I wasn't thinking a card game at that point.
Right.
That wasn't on the horizon. I was like, how would I do this? And I found the a blog by Jamie Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, which is just really, really intensive and exhaustive. He has a series of posts called Kickstarter Lessons. I think it's on 200 something now, or 190, somewhere close to that.
Wow.
And a lot of them kind of come at the same topics from different angles, reinforcing the same themes from a different direction and providing more details that you might want to be aware of. But reading through those is just a great introduction to how Kickstarter works. And that was what I found. And that was what I just read all of them back in 2013, 2014. When he went from Stonemaier Games went from Viticulture, which raised $65,000, to Scythe last year, which was just massive.
Yeah.
And so I figured he probably knew what he was talking about.
Right.
So that was where I started, and then I made the game and was focused on the game for a long time. And then recently got back into doing Kickstarter research and reading Stonemaier Games blog, James Maith's blog, just a bunch of other blogs. And also every convention I've gone to for the past 4 years or so, I've attended all of the "So you want to publish your game on Kickstarter" panels. Which have had some interesting people. I actually saw someone launch their campaign at a panel at PAX East a few years ago.
Huh. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was neat. Let's just see how he had the projector up, so we got to see how the process happened and like it going green on the page. It was neat.
Interesting.
And yeah, eventually you start to get the same. Everyone is saying the same things when it comes to people giving advice for on Kickstarter. So I tried to like write those down and work off of those, and I still messed up. Next time I'm going to do this so much better.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get into the process and you kind of, you get your feet wet and sort of like, people can tell you that, don't put your hand on the stove. You hear,
Right.
when you're a little kid and then you touch the stove and you're like, oh shit, I get it now. Now I know why I'm not supposed to touch the stove.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and every project probably too is different. Like, you get this one going and has, bajillion components and 6 different artists and, all this different stuff. Maybe the next one is a simpler project and maybe it's only dice or only cards. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The next one is going to be so much simpler.
Right. But the overall feel then of the Kickstarter will be different to a certain extent.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
But like, I'll know how to make a good Kickstarter video next time, so I won't have to delay launching the campaign for 5 days because one of the reviewers I sent a preview copy out to actually called me on my and explained to me that my Kickstarter video was terrible in the preview link that I'd sent him.
Huh. Okay.
So I delayed it was kind of brutal, but I really needed to hear it because it was bad. And it was bad because I never watched the Kickstarter videos.
Oh, jeez.
So I figured it didn't matter that much.
Right.
Apparently it's gotten 1,000 something 1,600 I think plays at the moment. So I went and refilmed it entirely with a different camera and different lighting, and instead of actually explaining the game, I just delivered my quick pitch,
right.
pitch the fantasy of the game in the video, and then explain the rules in the body.
Mm-hmm. Well, was it so bad it was like Planet 9 from Outer Space so that it was good? Or it was just bad?
It was just kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
It was me giving sorry, I keep in... it was me...
I was just going to say, it could be... Oh my God. Just wait.
Is this lag in Google Hangouts or something?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's a little bit. I was just going to say it could be so bad that it's good. And that has its own je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, that would have been... I would have accepted that. This was just kind of mediocre. So it was me explaining the mechanics of the game for a little longer than I should have and not really being dramatic about it and including a passion plea that even I thought was cheesy, but I threw in anyway because I thought that was just what you did.
Right.
And so I cut everything that isn't... I just cut everything that didn't make me excited about the game from the video.
Mm-hmm.
And that seemed to have done the trick.
Cool. Yeah, I watched it. I thought it was good.
Oh, thanks.
Mm-hmm. I also watched the playthrough. I probably spent about 2 hours with you yesterday.
Oh, God, the playthrough video. The 37-minute playthrough video.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, a couple of the reviewers have made, explanation videos of the rules, and they got it done in, 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, maybe they didn't... Did they, not go into every nuance of the rules, or am I just long-winded?
There's a certain cadence. I mean, they try to parse things down. They're like, this is how you play. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
When you're reviewing 100 games a month or whatever,
yeah,
it can take 37 minutes.
You got to get the system going.
Yeah.
So you can do it fast. I hear you.
Right. As a player of board games, you have a particular style that you enjoy, like a Euro game or like a beer and pretzel style. I mean, this is obviously not a beer and pretzel style game, but
yeah, no, it's more on the Euro game side of things.
Yeah.
I actually hadn't considered it a Euro game until one of Undead Viking called it a Euro game in his review, and then I was just sitting there after hearing that, going, "Yeah, I guess it is." but that is the style of games that I like.
Okay.
When I was like, I keep coming back to my college gaming group because that was where I've done like most of my board gaming in recent history.
Hmm.
Even when we're like spread out all around the country now, we come together once a week on Roll20 and play something. Like Cosmic Encounter was the game that we kept coming back to for that. It's like that was the big, and Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Hmm.
So those are probably the big two that I've played just super extensively and really enjoy. Cards Against Humanity is great for meeting new people.
Yeah.
That's probably the most beer and pretzels game that I play regularly. I've also played The Resistance with a lot of drunk people, which gets really funny.
I imagine it would.
Just especially when they're playing it for the first time and they're just getting madder and madder at everyone else arguing and trying to figure out who the spies are.
Yeah, I played Avalon a couple of months ago for the first time,
Oh, that's
and I'm like, what the heck is this? And like, and nobody
Avalon
was
is
drunk,
fantastic.
so yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
I
was
don't
fun.
I don't think you can play Avalon drunk. It just adds so many twists to it.
Yeah,
The Resistance has the plot cards, which are straightforward. And then Avalon has the character cards, which change the entire dynamic of the game.
yeah.
You really have to think your way in corkscrews through that one.
Mm. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that one. I got to play Betrayal too for the first time. Like same thing, but maybe about a month ago we played through like 2 or 3 times. That was a fun game.
It's a great game. It's also really easy for like there's a I don't even know how many fan-made expansions that you can just pull offline.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're just additional trader and survivor books. So
Okay.
like instead of the werewolf one, this combination is now something else.
Right.
And so every time you are playing it and you run into one you've seen before in the original booklet, you switch to your new booklet.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
then after
cool.
that, switch to the third booklet because you can find like there's a bunch out there, and I think there's an official one out there as well.
Hmm.
I haven't actually played that
Oh.
one.
I'll have to look that up then for next time we play.
Yeah, it's fun, and there's 50 in there to begin with.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
we've only played through 2 or 3, so
Yeah, like I haven't even seen all of them. I've seen some of them more than once. I hate the blob one. The blob one's the worst.
yeah, we didn't play
You
that
haven't
one.
run
We
into
had the
that
one
one?
with the
Okay.
statue.
It's
Yeah.
super hard. I don't think I played one with the statue.
Yeah, if you use might, it saps this thing. If
Okay.
or the key, if you have like a certain item or whatever, like it does, whatever.
Right. Okay. Betrayal's a pretty good water cooler game. You can sit around saying, "Oh yeah, when we were in there, we got attacked by a giant blob of flesh," or "Oh yeah, we got chased by aliens."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, we played chess against death." That's one of the
that's
cooler
cool.
ones. Yeah, that's one of the cooler ones that I haven't actually gotten a chance to play, but I know is in the book.
The first time we played through, I wound up getting almost every freaking companion in the deck. I had the madman, I had the little girl, I had the dog. I'm like, what the?
I think that's all of them, actually.
Oh, is that all of them?
Yeah, I think there's only 3.
Oh, I had all of them.
I love that. I love having the little dog token that follows you around. You can send them over to pick stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
The dog's great.
I'm assuming you also a RPG game as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Any particular favorites? Are you a D&D guy or?
I started with D&D, as everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
And I still do play D&D from time to time, but not for a while now. I think the last D&D-like game I played was actually Pathfinder.
Okay.
I haven't played 5th edition. I really want to because from everything I've heard of it, it sounds great.
It's kind of a throwback.
Yeah. And I love the idea of the advantage-disadvantage rule, specifically. Mm-hmm. So when you come up with something clever, you have advantage.
Right.
And so you can, say, come up with a clever strategy, and it just mechanically there's a bonus for that.
And it keeps you engaged in the game too.
Yeah.
Because you know, you get people who are, you know, dicking around on their phone or, you know, whatever it is. So like if there's a chance you could get, you know, something better on your roll, it just tends to keep people's
Yeah,
focus on what's happening
absolutely.
on the table.
Like, okay, what part of this can I take advantage of here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, recently I've been running a Deadlands game set in a territory that I made up.
Cool.
It was kind of based on the Western Marches game that you can just find links to it online. Someone did a run through of a campaign that they ran, and like the concept behind it was people like it doesn't matter who is playing. The GM is always there. It's up to the players to arrange the game. There's like 15 players, and they put together parties themselves, go out into the wilderness, and come back each session and slowly map it out. So the idea behind this Deadlands game was sort of that in the Wild West. So we ended up calling the territory San Marcho, which started as someone else making a joke, and then I ran with it. And once that's done, we'll probably go back to Shadowrun because I love Shadowrun.
Okay.
Having made a heist game, that's maybe not a surprise.
Yeah. Would that be your go-to then, Shadowrun?
Yeah. I have a lot of issues with the system, but everything that I love about it is just so much more than that. I love the world. I love playing a criminal is really fun. Like being told flat out, you are playing a criminal.
Right.
No one is going to be playing the paladin in the Crew of Pirates.
Yeah.
No one is going to be... You're not going to get the cleric arguing with the necromancer. Everyone's a criminal.
Mm.
And you're staging heists, which is great fun. And I already mentioned the world's amazing. I think I did.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things to do in role-playing games and video games and stuff like that is modify gear. It's kind of just a weird little thing that I love doing, but I will spend hours just putting together the perfect gun in like Shadowrun or whatever shooter game I'm playing. I love tweaking these things. Like, oh, hey, let's try this new scope. This suppressor, this type of barrel.
Mm-hmm.
This modification. How can we get this as good as possible in the least amount of money, or as good as possible in the least amount of like upgrade slots or whatever? Sure. And Shadowrun has that in spades. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I actually... Oh, sorry, I did that again.
I was going to say Star Wars Saga Edition was like that too. I think you had the ability to upgrade certain... Like, you can only do so much, but you could upgrade your weapons and armor and things like that. I think there was a feat tree for you to kind of get in there and you know, be that as your character's main focus.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love customizing that stuff. Customizing characters is pretty cool too, but I love customizing the gear.
Yeah.
And picking up all the little pieces of gear that you don't know if you'll ever need, but you might. Mm-hmm. And Shadowrun has just books of that.
Yeah.
You can get climbing kits, you can get gas masks, you can get like 6 different kinds of gas to go with the gas mask. You can get armor mods and gun mods for days. You can pimp out your car. You can buy like 100 different kinds of drugs. It's great. I'm actually writing a book for them. That's one of my side projects for Catalyst Labs.
Nice.
Yeah. It's gotten a little delayed in development, but I'm pretty sure it's still in the pipeline.
Knock on wood, right?
Yeah, basically. Like, I have a project number, but I don't have a contract yet.
Mm.
And I haven't heard from my main contact there since March.
Ooh.
Yeah. I actually talked with a guy at the Catalyst room at PAX West when I was there a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to give his email a try in a couple of days, probably. The Kickstarter's
that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah. Kickstarter's been taking up just all of my attention. So
yeah.
I haven't been giving as much focus to all my other projects that I've gotten on the side. I always have like a dozen comics going, but I keep doing that. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's I don't know because I haven't played it, but I think Eclipse Phase gives you that option to modify and do all those kinds of things that you like. So, have you ever played it?
I love Eclipse Phase. I've played exactly one session of it.
But you love it so much you played it once.
Well, my friend who is also really, really into Eclipse Phase and really into like transhumanism and cyberpunk and exactly what Eclipse Phase is, wanted to run it and ran one session, and we couldn't decide what we wanted the campaign to be, so it never really continued beyond that. But we had a ton of fun making characters.
Right.
I remember my brother had a 4-armed, grizzled veteran gunslinger who was in the body of an 8-year-old child. And I had Spider the Arachno-Capitalist, which was my joke on anarcho-capitalism, which is one of the main factions, and also spider robots everywhere.
Yeah. That's cool.
You can do the default character creation in that system is a little broken. Not gonna lie. You can, at character creation, get a machine that can build anything.
Oh, jeez.
They added in some better, more balanced methods of character creation later. But the book that we were working from, you could get too much stuff.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah, as a player, sure.
It was just so much fun. I had so many toys.
Right.
I had a pistol that shot missiles. 5 different kinds of missiles. It was exactly what I wanted.
Right. And character creation takes a while, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's an hour or so to make a character, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Eclipse Phase basically just yanked a ton of stuff from Shadowrun 4th Edition, which was notorious for that. I have never built a character in Shadowrun 4th Edition without the assistance of software.
Right. It is a lot easier too. I used to make all my 4th edition characters in the builder. I mean, it's just everything is just right there. You don't have to flip through stuff. Here's a million feet, so I can just look at everything all in one shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Super useful. There wasn't actually an official character builder program, but there was one that someone was making in their free time and for everyone to use. It was called Chummer, which was just a great little program. And I spent days in that program, actually. Just tweaking little things, seeing, okay, if I get rank 1 of this augmentation, can I afford a turret on the van? It's that sort of calculation. What is best? And the first character I ever made for Shadowrun 4th Edition turned out to be terrible. He was a rigger, and I put everything into the van and one big badass combat drone. And then we went on heists where we were trying to keep a low profile.
That's a GM for you.
I mean, it was also how we decided to approach everything.
Right.
We're okay, we're staging a heist. We should try and ghost this, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's how we should do it. So I was just the getaway driver for a lot of these things. Which was still fun. Some of my favorite memories of that were me planning most of the heist and then just sitting in the car for the entire time, just yelling at people over the radio.
Waiting for things to go sideways.
Yeah, basically. There was one specifically where it was me and the pistol adept in the van, just waiting for everything to go wrong. And when it did, he just got out of the van and walked into the lobby of the building. I backed the van up to the doors, and then everyone sprinted out as the building was exploding behind them 5 minutes later. That was how a lot of those went.
Yeah. Do you need me now? Do you need me
basically. If you're a rigger who spends all of your stuff on the van, your like main way of dealing with things is to just ram the van through a wall and extract everyone from whatever mess they're in. That's like your job.
Right.
There was also one
That's cool.
hilarious. I could probably tell stories from Shadowrun games
Yeah.
for hours. Actually, I should probably stop.
All right. Yeah. Well, but to stay on gaming, do you prefer to
Right.
GM or do you prefer to play?
I prefer to play right up until the point where I really want to GM, and vice versa. I have like I have alternating like states basically. Like when I've been playing in games for a while, or when I haven't done anything for a while, I'll be like, I really want to get my teeth into another world. I really want to set up some mysteries that I can then throw you guys at and see if you'll figure them out, and then laugh when you don't, which is what usually happens. And then when I've been running something for a while, I get like, oh my god, I'm so tired. This takes up so much more time and mental energy than I remember.
Yeah.
And it's still really fun. But like, when I'm not running a game, I forget how hard it is to be on top of things all the time.
Right.
Because when you're a player, you can tune out for a little while and then come back in and be like, yeah, my character was taking a piss. What just happened?
Yeah.
When you're the GM, you have to be on for... Like this past weekend, I ran a game of Deadlands for 8 hours.
Oof.
And I had to be like on top of things for 8 hours. And I was, but that's hard to do.
Well, because if you're just if you're ad-libbing it and you throw out like just some random point and the player sees on that as something like, oh my god, we've got to investigate. You're like, what did I say? I didn't say that.
Yeah, you have to say everything with intention when you're the GM. And it's hard to think everything through when you're trying to get the description out there, or when they've gone completely off the rails and you're trying to figure out what is in this corner of the city. Jesus Christ, then we're supposed to go over here.
Well, you just kind of shift things around. So, like, if the monsters are over here, they just happen to be over here now. Yeah.
You can do that. I like to run sandboxes. So what I usually do is I do a lot of work ahead of time and then just coast, because I know who all the NPCs and what their plots are.
Right.
So usually what happens is they go somewhere I wasn't expecting and run into something they weren't expecting, because it's what happens to be over there.
Right.
One of my friends calls it the patented Adam sandbox, because it's usually like 5 different NPC factions with their own weird plots bubbling along, and then the PCs run in and accidentally make enemies.
Right.
And then that's the campaign for however many sessions we play it.
Right. Hey, let them do the work.
Yeah, basically. I had one game that I ran like once or twice a summer for every year that I was in college and some of high school. No, it was just college, not high school, because I had the idea with Brett freshman year. Yeah. It was the easiest game ever to run and easiest game ever to prep for. It was... Do you know the SCP Foundation wiki?
Mm-mm.
It's a collection of horror stories presented as containment procedures for basically the objects you'd find in horror stories, or the entities you'd find in horror stories. There's the SCP Foundation that collects all of these and keeps them contained and secure and hidden and whatnot.
Okay.
And so I would ran a game by hitting random entry on the SCP wiki and just putting that in a fantasy world and telling the players, you're members of the SCP Foundation, there's something weird here, figure out what it is and get it. And that's basically no prep.
Right.
I hit random and change the genre. And they usually already have like notes in the entry, because the people who write these like to tell stories, and they're like, this is how the object was acquired. This was the disastrous thing that happened when it tried to escape or whatever. And I'm like, these are the powers it has. It teleports if you look at it and kills the last person who saw it, or whatever. Like, so you have the villain, you have the mystery, you have a goal. Go. It's the easiest thing in the world. And then running a sandbox, which is what I usually do, is super difficult. So, of course, that's what I usually do.
Yeah.
Instead of this easy thing that I found years ago.
I was doing that for a little while, but the podcast has kind of consumed everything that's not the podcast. So it kind of went by the wayside.
Right.
Like it does.
Yeah.
Do you have any other games in the works post No Honor Among Thieves?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been tossing around ideas for a couple ones. Me and my brothers actually mostly designed a game, like almost entirely designed a game in a conversation while standing in line for a roller coaster, like just a little while ago. So I might make that one next. Just work together with them, have a shared Google Doc, and like come up with something. Because that one was a lot simpler than No Honor Among Thieves or any of my other ideas. And I also kind of want to make a noir game. Just like one player's the investigator, everyone else is like other characters in the noir story. And you somehow go through a mystery noir thing, like playing cards or moving tokens around or something. I haven't really gotten far at all into that idea, you can maybe tell.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I also have a cyberpunk space opera tabletop role-playing system that I will work on for like a week at a time every 2 months.
When you can fit it in.
Yeah, basically. It's one of those things that like I'll have an idea for it, and then I'll have a dozen ideas for it and write them all down and rework a couple systems and go over what I had written and say like, did I think that was balanced? Holy crap. And then I'll go back to it and redo some more of it and then forget about it for a while because I'm working on something else.
Mm-hmm. So was that the idea behind founding the company this year to kind of bring all this stuff under that umbrella?
Yeah, basically. I figure I'm going to keep making stuff. Like if No Honor Among Thieves didn't get funded, I think it's going to at this point, but if it didn't, I'd keep making stuff. If for some reason I couldn't publish No Honor Among Thieves at all, or I could only publish it for free and not make any money, like I'd keep making stuff. So I might as well bring it all under one banner and put it out there and actually have people play the stuff that I make.
And that's awesome. And I love the name. Just, seize everything. I mean, that's just, go about it and just, tear it up and
it really fit the first game. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a coincidence, actually. I started a blog in like 2011 and bought the domain carpeomnis.com and called the blog Carpe Omnis and mainly wrote blog posts about Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And so I had the website when I was deciding to start a company. So I figured I'd just keep the website and name the company after that instead of trying to start up a new website and a new company and having to pay for more hosting costs and whatever.
Sure.
I ended up buying a bunch of additional domain names, so I don't know if that actually saved me any money. Like if you type Carpe Omnis Games now, it'll redirect you to carpeomnis.com, for example.
Oh, you got to watch the brand, though. That's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. I think I might have actually translated Seize Everything incorrectly like 5 years ago when I was making the domain name initially. Like depending on where I look online, it's either Carpe Omnis or Carpe Omnia. I'm sticking with Carpe Omnis because that's already what it is.
Right.
And also Carpe Omnis sounds better than Carpe Omnia. Like it flows off the tongue. Yeah, it flows off the tongue a lot better. It sounds ominous because it sounds like the word ominous.
Exactly. Cool. Was there any influence at all from Munchkin? Because it kind of has that cooperative, but you're going to screw your neighbor kind of feel. Yeah.
There was a lot of influence from Munchkin, but maybe not in the way you expect. I don't like playing Munchkin with my friends. The last game of Munchkin I played with my friends at college took 4 hours, and we didn't finish it. One person got, I think everyone at one point was level 9 or whatever the level before you win is. I think I remember it being 10.
9.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played it because we are such bastards when we play that game. It's
Mm-hmm.
It got to be a problem. We're like, we just sat back and we're like, we can't play this anymore. It takes us too long. And it's not fun. It's just whoever is lucky enough to have the turn where everyone else is out of cards wins.
Right.
So it was influenced. The influence from that was like, okay, I want something like this, but let's not have it end up like Munchkin. Let's not have if everyone else is out of cards, you win by default, and that's the only way to win. Thing happen. So there's a bunch of mechanics in the game that are solely there because of Munchkin, and because of how badly me and my friends play Munchkin.
All right, that's fair.
Cosmic Encounter has a similar mechanic, and like I mentioned earlier, that's what I was playing a lot of at the time when I came up with the idea for No Honor Among Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that in the game as well, a lot of that DNA.
Okay. And we'll talk about the Kickstarter. You're looking for 28,000. You're at 17, a little over 17 now, I think.
It's actually almost 18,000.
All right, almost 18. So you're getting close.
18,907. So close to 18 that I can taste it.
So you still have just about 2 weeks to go. So you've got a lot of time to
absolutely
to get that funded.
I am super optimistic about this. Mm-hmm. It was 40% at a weekend, 60% at 2 weeks in. If it keeps following, if it does that trend, like back up the bell curve, then I'll be fine.
Okay. And the pledges are pretty simple. I mean, you've got your standard $1 pledge to get in. You got the $4 pledge to get the ceramic poker chip.
Yep.
And then $45 gets you the game. It's got tons and tons of components and cards and all the doodads and everything. It's complete. Oh, yes. It's free shipping in the North America and the EU. So you're getting a fantastic deal for $45. You're just getting a ton of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it's definitely worth to pledge in on this.
Absolutely. I added in a couple new pledge levels just the other day, shortly after Boston Festival of Indie Games, because people kept sending me messages with suggestions and ideas for stuff. Mm-hmm. So I added in a couple of new levels to get people's face on art, and also the Gilder, the poker chip level got added in then as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's proven to be way more popular than I anticipated. But like, that's actually, that's been the story of this campaign is, well, that was more popular than I anticipated, just like with everything. Mm-hmm. The $400 nobility tier, I initially had 3 of those open, and they were gone in 6 hours.
Wow.
And so recently I added in 2 more when I added in the Gilder pledge level and a couple other pledge levels. I opened up 2 more nobility slots because I actually have 10 more objective mats that I need art for. So I might as well put people's faces on them. It's just a matter of how much I'm going to deal with afterwards.
Yeah.
The answer is no more than this. But those 2 slots that I opened up were claimed within 2 hours of me putting them up.
Wow.
And then someone from the nobility tier moved up to the $900 pledge level, the new one that I'd added in, which I threw in just because, hey, I didn't expect anyone to go for the 400. Let's see what we can do here. And, before the day was out, that had been claimed, and both the new nobility slots have been claimed. There's actually still a nobility slot open because someone moved up. So, someone can still have an opportunity to get that, I guess. And all of the $200 levels got claimed within a week. There was a while where the $400 level was more popular than the $200 level, which was just blowing my mind for a while.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, do you not see the numbers?
Yeah.
That's been the thing that surprised me the most about the campaign, I think, is just how popular the bigger stuff has been.
Mm-hmm.
And like how popular it's been in general. I've been really blown away.
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, you
Yeah.
get your face in the game and you own the game, and then you're playing and you're like, hey, that's me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. And
Yeah.
I have so many cards I can put art on.
Mhm.
So I've got
Right.
a lot of options. I'm planning on like having a conversation with every backer who backed at those levels to like say, okay, where would you want your face? And then I've got so many cards, I can probably put everyone's face in the right spot where they want it. I don't have to just like throw darts at a board.
Right.
I think my video feed has frozen here.
You have frozen a little bit. But I can still hear you, so I mean that's we're doing okay.
That's what counts.
Yep. All right. Well, we are winding down here a little bit, so if you want to give us all of your contact information, your Twitter, and all that stuff, we'll put all the stuff in the show notes, of course.
Okay, sure. Twitter is at Carpe Omnis Games. The Facebook page is Facebook/Carpe Omnis Games. The website is carpeomnis.com. You can find the Kickstarter by going to nohonoramongthieves.com. It'll redirect you right to the page. There's also technically a Carpe Omnis Games Tumblr, but all it does is repost stuff from my main blog. So if you have a Tumblr and want my stuff on Tumblr, that's where you get it.
Ours does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just repost from the website.
It's just super easy to set up. Let's see. You can reach me by email at adam@carpeomnis.com. And check out the Kickstarter. It's doing super well. The art is gorgeous. The game itself is amazing. And I've been working really hard on it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for giving all your information, and I would heartily encourage people to go and check it out. It looks like a fun game. It's pretty simple to understand. It's not like super complicated. I mean, the rule book's like 20 pages printed out, but it's simple. There's a nice little summary in it. You're getting tons of fiddly bits to it, and the art is really good, and it looks overall like a fun game, especially if you like a longer game. I mean, if you're not into a long game,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I say that the game takes 90 to 120 minutes. That's not true the first time you play
it.
Yeah. And I was actually thinking today that I might need to change that like estimated time to like something per player to be a little more accurate. Because I think it's like 30 minutes per player once people know the rules.
Right.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think people understand. The first playthrough. I play test games with my brother when we get stuff in, and the first game is always just an absolute nightmare as we're kind of trying to puzzle everything out. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Now it's easy.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier for No Honor Among Thieves once I actually get a graphic designer to go over the rulebook. I'm hoping to get it below that 20 pages printed out once I have
the glossary and everything.
Yeah. That's true, but I'm hoping to get more diagrams into that.
Okay,
that's cool. That's going to be helpful.
All right. Well, I do have 5 final questions, which we call the final 5. It's
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right. Sense of the theme. So it's 5 geeky, nerdy questions. It's binary. You can answer yes or no, or if it's like yes and or yes because.
Okay.
Feel free to expound and extrapolate on that.
Sure.
So we'll kick into that. So the first one is Star Trek or Star Wars?
Ooh. I have way more experience with Star Wars.
Okay.
I really liked the most recent Star Trek movie, and I like the concept of Star Trek, but I've not seen as much of it.
Okay. See, my dad watched Star Wars, so Star Trek when I was little, so I watched it then. The movies, the new movies are really good.
Yeah.
It's action. Like it's got Star Trek on the name, but it's it's a Vin Diesel movie.
I mean, Into Darkness was. I wasn't 100% on Into Darkness. The new one was way better than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of felt like the old Star Trek episodes I've seen, but just with better special effects. Like the finale is a Kirk having a fist fight with an ideologically different villain in a gravity generator. Like, it's great.
Right. What you'd expect.
Yeah. It's like, on the one hand, it has like the Star Trek themes, and on the other hand, they're having a fist fight while floating through the weird gravity currents.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
What did you think about the new Star Wars?
It made me realize why people got so into Star Wars back in the day, and why some of my friends are so into Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw that movie and I wanted to be in Star Wars.
You weren't upset that it was the third Death Star?
I was a little disappointed by that, because, like, I mean, come on, we've done this before. But they basically redid the entire first trilogy in one movie to introduce all these new characters and this new setup for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm fine with that, depending on how they take it from there.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I am a big fan of the new characters, and they got the world, the universe, just spot on.
Mm-hmm. I want to pick up the novelization because from everything that I understand about it, the Kylo Ren character is much darker and more fleshed out in the novelization than, you got kind of short shrift, he's like, oh, the emo Darth Vader and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he was the guy who has really weird understanding of what the light side and the dark side is.
Mm-hmm. Well,
when he took off his... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think we're going to talk about the same part. When he takes off the helmet and he slams it into that powder, that's the ashes of the enemies that he's killed. That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
Which isn't explained in the movie at all, but apparently is a thing in the book, and they cut it a different way. They changed the scene around or whatever. So, like, that has more impact, I guess, if it's like, wow, that's a pile of dead people. Like,
yeah, all right.
So,
I was about to say I was just really surprised when I saw him when he took his helmet off. I was like, this guy's the villain?
Yeah.
And then he just kept being villainous, and I was like, okay. It's a villain who doesn't necessarily look like a villain. I can work with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more like a petulant child.
Yeah, it was weird. He took off before that, I really loved his voice. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of villains in movies with the weird mechanical voices. I love Darth Vader's voice. I loved Bane's voice. I love Kylo Ren's voice. And then he takes off the helmet, and I'm like, oh, what? Who's this nerd? Where's the badass I was expecting?
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that series. I'm cautiously optimistic.
It's J.J. Abrams, so you know that the first movie was just burying the lead on so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that should be cool. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Tabletop or video games?
Oh, that's a hard one. I do a lot of both.
Right.
I've done video games more lately because my friends keep moving out of state. Do a tabletop game on Roll20 every week, like I said.
And the technology is awesome nowadays that you can actually do that. You can get people from different sides of the world and just sit and hang out and play games. It's such a cool time to be a gamer in that regard.
Absolutely. People keep telling me to buy Tabletop Simulator on Steam, and I keep meaning to, and I keep never getting around to it.
Right.
I've had multiple people say, hey, it'd be a great idea to make a demo version of No Honor Among Thieves on Tabletop Simulator to show people. And I'm like, that would be a great idea. And then I forget about it. I need to write that down.
You need another list.
Yeah. I have my to-do list, and it just keeps getting full, and I keep not finishing everything in one day. So things just fall off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got to rewrite them and carry them over to the next one. That's what I do.
Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. That'd be smarter than what I've been doing.
Fuck it. I didn't finish it. We just forget that one.
Yeah, basically. I'm like, I'll look back at this tomorrow, and then I don't.
Mm-hmm.
because there's a dozen new things on it.
Yeah, exactly. At one point, I had 4 different lists I was working from. I'm like, wait a minute, this is just stupid now.
Yeah, I've tried to use a like to-do app.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an account on one called like Wunderlist, I think it is,
Right.
and I will use it for like a day and then immediately forget about it because it's so much easier to just use a Google Doc.
I do old-fashioned paper and pencil.
I have a how many pages is this? I have a Google Doc called Random Notes that is 420 pages right now.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it started taking a very, very long time to load. So I created a new Google Doc just for my to-do lists and use Random Notes just for like other stuff. Like every project that I've started for the past 3 years has
Mhm.
started in Random Notes, that one Google Doc.
Right, right.
And then I'll eventually like copy it out to its own thing, and now I have like dozens of files for No Honor Among Thieves. But originally, it was just a long stretch of writing in the Random Notes document.
Okay.
So that is my
Hey,
terrible, terrible way of doing everything.
it's your dirty little secret.
Yeah, basically, I don't advise it as a method of creating things, but it's what I do because I can't seem to
Hey,
stop.
hey, if that's what works, man, you got to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out
Absolutely.
thus far, I guess. Just keep thinking
Hmm.
there's got to be a better way than this as I write the next like 100
Right.
pages.
All right. DC or Marvel?
Oh boy, I like Batman. Marvel makes better
Bat-
movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a consensus for the most part. Batman, but Marvel.
Yeah, basically, Marvel's just been knocking it out of the park with the movies recently. They started doing
Hmm.
movies in different genres. They're all superhero movies set in the Marvel universe, but like the Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War are the political thrillers.
Hmm.
And I wasn't at all interested in Thor Ragnarok until I heard that they were making it into a like buddy comedy movie between Thor and the Hulk, and now I
Oh,
really
was
want
it?
that. That's what I've heard, and I don't like. I'm That's what I've heard anyway. If it doesn't end up being like that, I'm going to be disappointed now because I really want that. It's the intergalactic buddy cop or buddy comedy or buddy cop whatever movie.
Right, right. I've only watched a handful of them. I'm not a huge superhero guy. Like I didn't see the Age of Ultron. The first Avengers was funny. Like it
Age
had
of
its really
Yeah,
funny moments, you know. So it was like, wow, this is really good. But
yeah. The first
eh.
Avengers movie was amazing. That
Mhm.
was like Iron Man was good.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one, and then the first Avengers movie was everyone just sitting up and taking notice.
Hmm.
The other movies in between them were okay for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked the first Captain America movie. Most of my friends don't, but I thought it was a really interesting. Like they did a period war movie with Captain America
Right,
and Red Skull in it.
right, right.
I appreciated that. It felt like a propaganda movie from the 1940s.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought the first one was good. Winter Soldier was good too. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I loved Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
Uh, and I loved Civil War. Ant-Man was way better than it had any right to be.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Guardians, like it was one that I didn't watch for a very long time, and then eventually, like it was on, and I was in the room, and I figured, okay, I'll sit down and we'll have some popcorn, microwave popcorn, and watch this movie with you guys, and it was pretty good. It was a heist movie
Hmm.
with Ant-Man and characters that didn't make a huge amount of sense motivation wise or like characterization wise, but yeah, it was pretty good overall. And Guardians of the Galaxy is great.
I
I love that one.
I haven't sat and watched it, and Vince gave me shit over it when my ex was still living here. She had it on, she watched it, she enjoyed it, and I was doing other stuff like it was on in the room, and I'm like, wow, this seems really stupid. Like, I don't want any parts of this, but
It is great. It
right.
its only flaw is that for a while, Marvel decided that every movie had to end with a huge throwdown shootout fight between alien armadas over a city and the heroes over a city.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had that ending.
Okay.
Everything else about it I loved.
All right, I'll have to watch it then. Everybody tells me it's good, so.
Yeah, the title sequence is one of my favorite just like movie intros ever, because you see this guy in a crazy mask. I'm going to spoil this for you right here. But it's super cool, so I'm going to keep talking and not apologize. Like, you see this dude in a crazy mask, like, going across an alien planet, scanning things, and, like, seeing these... He, like, projects a hologram of what used to be there, and you see, like, children playing in front of a building that's now, like, absolutely ruined, and everything is black stone and geysers and smoke. And he goes into this temple, and then he takes out a Sony Walkman and puts on some, like, music from the 60s and starts dancing his way through this ancient temple that he's breaking into Indiana Jones style. And it's just so great and so smooth. Like, he's doing a little dance in the corner of the screen, and the main screen is showing this huge cavern, and then that's the title screen, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's great. Okay. And the music is great.
Yeah.
And it's Chris Pratt playing an intergalactic superhero. And they had to reshoot a lot of the fight scenes because he wouldn't stop making gun noises.
Oh, jeez.
It's just... everyone in the movie seems like they're having a lot of fun.
Okay. I'll have to check it out then. Everybody can't be wrong, right?
You'd think that, yeah. And in this case, you're right.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not... You said it looked stupid. You're not 100% wrong.
Okay. All right. I mean, I do like some stupid movies. Like Pineapple Express is one of my favorite movies. Super Troopers. Like, I'm into to dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
But as a superhero movie, it just didn't seem to fit the bill with the pieces I was picking up on.
It's not like quite a superhero movie. It's like a 1950s pulp adventure story that happens to be set in this weird like Marvel Universe section of space.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, I can go in with that perspective then.
Yeah, just like imagine you're seeing like basically misfit Indiana Jones in space.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, like I said, I think that's fair.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Cool. All right. Sci-fi or fantasy?
Those are the only two genres I read.
All right.
Yeah. I keep answering these questions with, I do both of those.
Yeah. Well, we try to make it so that, like, you have to pick one, but, like, I mean, whatever.
Well, with this one, it's like, legitimately, those are the only two things I do, like, anything in, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I play games that are either sci-fi or fantasy. I read... Actually, it mostly comes down to literature because I do play like games set in modern times. But like sci-fi, fantasy, and steampunk are my big things.
There you go. We should add that one to the questions.
Oh, yeah.
No, but it could definitely be both. That's cool.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, like absolutely had to, I guess
You back yourself in a corner now.
Yeah. It really depends. I guess it depends on how I'm feeling at the time, I guess. Right now, I think I'd say fantasy.
Okay.
But I also just finished reading every book that's currently out in The Expanse, which, again, super hard sci-fi.
Right. Okay. And the last one is, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I mean, invincibility would be pretty great. When you have that, everything else just like comes with it.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Honestly, aside from the basic Superman package, I think phenomenal luck would be the most useful in just every way.
Right.
Because, like, oh, hey, I'm about to die of train hitting me. Like, take a step back. It happens to be done right. Oh, hey, I draw a lottery ticket. Now I'm rich. Oh, hey, I'm about to die of old age. Oh, the cure for old age. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me drink that real fast.
Thanks,
Like,
Google.
yeah, it's going to be Google, you know.
Probably, yeah. They're working on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Somewhere in the alphabet agencies over there.
Hmm. And then all of a sudden you're Johnny Depp and you're some evil dude in a computer.
Yeah, exactly. I eventually want to be an evil dude in the computer. Is my that's my life goal here.
Well, you've already got the document behind you that's compiling and compiling.
Yeah. They've got Google is actually starting to move into biotech stuff recently, or at least one of their sub companies. They've filed a patent for a powered eye implant. Semi recently, which corrects vision, but also has a like tiny, like, I think it gets power through induction and has room for sensors and I think some kind of screen that they haven't designed yet, but like they could potentially put it there.
Right.
So, like, I have to wear glasses, and I don't like the thought of firing lasers into my eyes, so I may never get corrective surgery for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would get that.
My mom had that stuff done, and she asked me to go with her, take her on that stuff. And the guy's describing the shit. I'm like, I got to go in the other room. I can't.
Yeah.
You're awake, and they're cutting. I'm out. I can't do it.
I can't even wear contacts. I have issues with getting things in my eyes. And then they're firing a laser and cutting pieces of it, or using knives. And I'm like, oh, God, I would ruin my eyes because I would flinch. It would just happen.
And it's not only that. I mean, they're like, oh, we'll correct your vision. It's fantastic, blah, blah. But they don't tell you about the guy that came in last week that's blind now because they fucked something up. And then you're screwed. I'd take glasses over being blind any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not worth it.
Eventually, though, we will get cyber eyes, and it won't matter. That's the end goal.
Yeah, that's a possibility. All right. Well,
I'm really looking forward to augmented and virtual reality. Just moving into a completely different topic from here. I know you're trying to end here.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited about this stuff, too.
Do you have the cardboard thing for your phone?
The Google Cardboard?
There's a couple different ones, I guess, yeah.
We have one at the office. I don't have one of my own. My brother bought a Vive. And he's in Boston right now, but for like 2 weeks he was visiting home, and I was just playing with the Vive every night. And I didn't think that thing would be as fun as it is.
Okay, so it's good then.
Yeah, I'm used to having. It might be that I'm used to having stuff like that in an arcade. Like if you went to Disney Quest in Florida, they had stuff like this. You could experience virtual reality, but you had to go somewhere and pay $50 for a ticket and spend the day.
Right.
And this is in my basement.
Right.
Like where I am sitting now, we had cleared away, and we're like shooting drones in Space Pirate Trainer. And trying to defend against waves of oncoming robots and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was great. All I want now is to have that without the wires.
Yeah.
Because when you're wearing it, you also have just a giant wire coming out the back of your head.
Right. They will all be Judge Dredd soon. They got all people lined up at the friggin' console banks, just kind of plugged in and tuned out.
Yeah, they had. I mentioned earlier that I was at PAX West a couple weeks ago. There was one area of the convention that was just like booths with people just in virtual reality in them. So like all of the virtual reality pods that science fiction has proposed are happening, except they're made out of the stuff that you use to set up booths at conventions.
Yeah.
And they don't actually look like the sci-fi future. They're just like temporary walls that someone set up in a warehouse.
Yeah, one of our local gaming stores, they rented space up at, I guess they have like a location at the mall now, and you can go in and do the virtual reality. They're always posting pictures on their Facebook, and
Nice.
people just kind of doing one of these numbers. Like,
Yeah,
come check out the virtual reality.
it's so expensive to get one, and like I said, it feels like an arcade already. So
Mhm.
like I could see that being a really good business model for at least a few years before the next generation comes out and the price hopefully drops. I
Yeah.
want better resolution and I want no cable out the back of my head.
Hey, porn will take care of that. Don't worry about it. Just give it another couple of months. They're hard at work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Was that meant to be a double
No pun
entendre?
intended. Well, you're web design and
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
industry, it just drives everything. So,
Oh yeah. It's the porn
it's
companies and the security versus hackers. It's just
mhm.
everything.
Yep, absolutely. So when you're in your basement and you're doing your 3D drone shooting, you can thank porn.
Thanks, porn. Quote of the day.
Let's pull that out and put that as a quote in the show notes.
Great
Oh boy,
interview, Adam. Thanks, porn.
a T-shirt's made.
Please don't put my name on those.
Yeah. Oh boy.
All
Well,
right.
that seems a fitting way to sort of
Yeah,
close.
yeah, that's a good closer.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
We're hoping that you successfully fund. You're getting close, so we encourage
Yeah,
everybody to go and check that out, and throw a couple of bucks at it. Hey, buy 10 coins. Moves the markers a little further down the line, and for $45 you're getting the game, no shipping. Tons of components, lots of fun. If you want to, get into that screw your neighbor kind of game, this is definitely something that you could get into, and it's got the
absolutely.
replayability and everything. So we wish you all luck in the world.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure
Absolutely.
talking to you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And I'll give that our details like I always do here at the end. It's you could catch this podcast and interview at our website. It's legendsoftabletop.com. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at legendsoftabletop@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and all that stuff, YouTube. There's a Twitch channel, which we're not currently using, but it's there if you want to go follow it. Maybe something will show up. Who knows? We've got a full packed week next week. We're going to be talking to Alan about Tiny Frontiers next week. We also have Rogue Blade Games coming on to talk about their Kickstarter. Chronicles of, I can't pronounce the last word, Aether, maybe. I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me. But they had to reschedule due to an errant cup of coffee and a laptop. So look for that next week. We also have Farah from Mantid Magazine coming on. So we'll be doing that. Casey Whalen from We're Alive will be on Friday afternoons. We have a special time. It's going to be 1 o'clock on Friday for that. And last week in September, we're going to have David Crennan, America's GM, coming on. He's part of the Crit Juice podcast and also Never Tell Me the Odds. So we're looking forward to getting him on. So I think that's probably about it. Thanks for checking us out. You could hit us up on iTunes and leave us a rating and review there. That's super helpful. And thank you for checking it out. And we'll catch you next time.